my hope is that in the next 6 months, Ethereum will hit new all-time highs. You could, you could have a scenario where it stalls out at around the prior all-time highs for a little while before breaking through as well. And that could be when liquidity perhaps goes back to Bitcoin more so. The other thing as well to remember is that the seasonality for Ethereum, I don't get the sense that seasonality is playing out this way in the similar fashion, because like seasonality is all over the place. Like April was a low for Ethereum, but in 2017, the pullback in April was almost nothing. So it's very, very different than what it was then.
Ethereum is back on the radar, and this time, it's not just noise. With the market slowly regaining confidence and altcoins starting to stir, Ethereum is inching toward what could be a major breakout. The setup is tempting: a strong recovery, growing institutional interest, and a backdrop of evolving market structure. The big question now isn't if Ethereum will retest its all-time highs, it's how it will handle that moment when it gets there. Ben Cowen sees the next 6 months as a key stretch. While he's optimistic about Ethereum setting new records, he also suggests the rally may not be a straight shot. Ethereum could pause near its previous high, letting momentum cool before it pushes higher. In that scenario, Bitcoin might briefly reclaim the spotlight as capital rotates between the two. Cowen also points out that historical seasonality doesn't seem to be holding up. In past cycles, Ethereum followed a fairly recognizable pattern. This time, it's rewriting its own playbook. That unpredictability might be Ethereum's greatest strength right now. It's no longer just following Bitcoin's lead or repeating old cycles. With staking, institutional products, and ecosystem upgrades gaining traction, Ethereum has real weight behind it. The market may not move in straight lines, but Ethereum's next move could catch many off guard. Let's watch clips from Ben Cowen's explosive interview to gain more insight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and enable notifications for additional in-depth content. Thanks for joining us again. Enjoy the video.
The only thing in technical analysis that I think is truly powerful is momentum. Momentum is really powerful. And what you can take from that is assets that are trending up are more likely to trend up than assets that are not. And so what ends up happening, a lot of people will trade the asset they have that's doing well for an asset that's not. But usually what ends up happening is the one they had continues to do well, and the asset that was lower that they thought was going to go up next continues to stay low. And so momentum normally leads to just more price action to the upside if the momentum is going up, or if it's down, it's the reverse, right? So momentum is pretty powerful. Everything else, it's your own. Pick your cup of tea, right? But in this case, we put out this video on Ethereum called the butterfly effect, and it's essentially based around this idea of this pattern: X to A, B, C, D, and then the bear market, right? Now, what's really interesting about it is that, I did this video a few months ago, but I've actually been talking about it in other videos well before that. I remember talking about this in ITC Premium, probably 2 years ago. I don't remember exactly when, but by the way, you can see the path here. Like, here's X, A, B, C, right? We hadn't gone to C, but now we have. And then D, and then obviously no one's going to want to talk about the blue line, which is potentially the bear market year of 2026, but we'll talk about it a little bit in this video. But honestly, it's not the primary focus at this time. It might become the primary focus in 6 months, but it's not really the primary focus at this time. Going over to the chart, the butterfly effect. It uses this chart here. This is the butterfly harmonic. And we're going to go X to A, and then we're going to go all the way up to B, right? Now, B could be this one, or it could be this one. Whatever, right? Whatever you want to choose. Let's just choose the first one. We can always change it later if it fits our bias a little bit more. And then we'll go down to C, and then D. So where is D? So D is 1.618 from B to D, right? So that could be 1.618 would be about 5,700, right? That's where the 1.618 is. You can also see from X to D, right? X to D, you have similar idea, like 1.272, 1.618, right? So the point here that I'm trying to make is that you have this chart that kind of lines up, right? The 0.786, pretty close to this 0.802. If you just take it down to sort of like the a little bit lower on the wick, you can see it was at 0.786, pretty close to it. Also, you know, if you don't take the wick down there, but if you take candles instead, it would honestly be a little bit closer, but we're just going to go with price, you know, lowest price, highest price, etc. So this kind of matches, right? Like this kind of matches. And then from B to C, right? From B to C, and basically A to C, the idea is that it could go all the way down to as low as 0.886 and still be the butterfly harmonic. And you can see that it went down to about 0.844. Okay, so this kind of seems the same. You have, this is the same. This is basically the same. And again, this basically means it could be as low as 0.382 or as low as 0.886, right? It's a range. And what's really interesting is Ethereum tried at every step of the way, right? The first C all the way up here arguably was that 0.382 effort. And then it tried again a little bit lower, you know, and then it tried again a little bit lower. And the whole idea is that Ethereum was struggling to break through 4K, right? Struggling to break through 4K. But the idea is that it tries to break through, it can't, it goes lower, finds more buyers. And then it tries to break through, it can't, it goes lower to find more buyers. And then it tries to break through again, it can't, goes lower to find more buyers. But in this case, when it went lower to find more buyers, guess what happened? Ethereum went home, right? Ethereum went home. And that's a big deal because when it goes home, that's normally around the time that ETH Bitcoin bottoms, all right? So far, this is playing out. Now, if you look at the video, so like here, this was the idea, right? This was the idea. You go down, you go all the way up, and then you drop into the bear market year. Now, this has almost perfectly played out right now, right? I mean, it dropped, it went home, and now you're getting this crazy rally that who knows exactly how high it'll go before it'll stop. But the question ultimately is, will it put in a new all-time high, right? Will it put in a new all-time high or not? You know, honestly, I can't know the answer to that, but I hope that it does, right? I hope that it does, because I think it would sort of put a bow on the cycle if Ethereum does get a nice rally up to those all-time highs, and it would make the cycle feel a bit more complete, right? It's always felt like the cycle was missing something because you've had Bitcoin, you know, just putting in new all-time highs, but you haven't really had the same thing for Ethereum, and a lot of people were giving up over here, but I think the ultimate thing that needed to happen was it just simply needed to go home, and ETH Bitcoin needed to bottom, and once that happened, then you hopefully have enough momentum for this thing to break through. I said in that video, or it could have been the one where I was comparing it to the 1989 to 1990 S&P fractal, that the next time that Ethereum gets to 4K, it should break through, right? So I don't know exactly when that's going to be, whether it's going to be next week or 3 to 4 months from now, I don't know. But the next time that Ethereum gets to 4K, I would say there's a really high chance that it will, in fact, break through.
Ethereum may be setting the stage for something big. After multiple failed breakouts near $4,000, it's showing signs of real momentum, backed by a technical pattern that's quietly playing out. Each dip found stronger buyers, and now Ethereum looks poised to challenge its all-time high with force. It's not just about price, it's about timing, structure, and conviction. If Ethereum gets another shot at $4,000, don't be surprised if this time it doesn't hesitate. The breakout could be closer than most think. Ethereum might rally to new highs, but that doesn't mean it won't return to Earth first. After a strong recovery, a revisit to its regression band in 2026 looks likely, following the rhythm of past cycles. That doesn't signal weakness, it's part of the reset before the next leg up. The path won't be perfect, and a surprise dip or support retest could shake confidence. But if history rhymes, Ethereum's long game is still very much in play and far from finished. Let's watch more clips from the interview.
The general idea, though, with this chart is that you have your bear market year, you kind of have this impulsive retrace, then you have the macro higher low, right? The macro higher low. Then you have the rally, potentially, to new all-time highs. And then you get your bear market, which likely takes Ethereum back down to the regression band. Now, obviously, if you look at this blue line, you can see it technically goes lower than A, but I don't know how important that is. I don't know that it has to. Obviously, maybe if there was no intervention by the Fed and no money printing, perhaps that would play out. But what I would say, what's been my base case for a while is that after Ethereum goes home, it can get a rally to all-time highs, but it will likely return back to the regression band in 2026, right? In 2026. And my guess is that it will spend more time in the regression band in 2026 than it did in, than it did this cycle, right? So I think it'll spend more time. And if you look at sort of like last cycle, Ethereum spent a lot of time in the regression band, but the cycle before that, it didn't really spend a lot of time in the regression band, right? So I kind of think that it could do something similar, right? Where this cycle, it didn't really spend a whole lot of time in the regression band, but next cycle, it probably will, right? It'll probably spend, a good portion of its time in that range, but it doesn't mean it can't go to new all-time highs first and then come back down for the 2026 bear market, the midterm year, and then just sort of slowly work its way off of that and build towards the next bull market. So this has been a long-term view. I understand how it could be frustrating for either side, right? If you're bullish and you wanna see it go to new all-time highs like me, it can be frustrating to see a pattern where it ultimately has to sell off, right? But again, I will remind you, all this technical analysis is hand wavy. Use it to get what you need to make money in the market. Don't marry a single indicator. My point is that I did a video on this called The Butterfly Effect, and over 120,000 people watched it, right? You can see it's 122,000 views. So, and I saw a comment recently saying, hey, can you do a part 2? So here we are, part 2. This is played out, right? Down, up, down. Now, will it be that easy, right? Will it be that easy? Maybe it's just that easy. There could also be some hiccups along the way, right? There's no guarantee that it plays out in the exact same manner. This over here continues to look familiar, right? Like the drop to the regression band and then back up, right? Kind of the same thing, right? The drop and then back up. It kind of seems like we're right here, right? That's where it kind of seems like we are. If you look at that cycle, if you look at the last cycle, you could argue that we went through this phase as well, right? Where it goes down and then back up. But what do you notice? There was a hiccup, right? We got the recession of the pandemic. So you always have to remember that curveballs can always come your way, right? There's no guarantee that it plays out exactly like that. It probably won't play out exactly like this either. But my point is to say that I would assume that there will be a curveball at some point, right? And I don't know exactly when, but one of the things I would look at, and by the way, I mean, this rally here was earlier in the year, right? So this was March. This one here is July. So it's almost like we're already, in terms of seasonality, that is where we are, right? This is July of 2017. This is July of 2025. So one potential thing that I could see happening, and I again, I'm not asking you to, to panic, sell, or anything like that in case this happens, right? But one thing that I could see happening is potentially, and I don't want to say for sure, but you might see a retest of the bull market support band, and maybe even a wick below it before you get a run up to all-time highs. Now, one of the reasons I say that is because one of the things we used to add a confluence to this idea of the butterfly effect is we used the fractal by the S&P 500 from 1989 to 1990. Now, that might sound kind of weird, but ultimately it was a very similar pattern. I got a lot of flack for it on Twitter. People said there's no way that Ethereum could drop that low and Bitcoin's bull market continue on, and that's exactly what happened, right? Ethereum went home and Bitcoin's bull market continued. A lot of people failed to understand, just how these cycles work and how, altcoins in general will underperform Bitcoin for so long. And because they misunderstand that idea, and they completely misunderstand Bitcoin dominance, for them, there was no way Ethereum could go all the way down to 1,300 and the Bitcoin bull market remain intact. But that's exactly what happened, right? Ethereum went all the way down here in the post-halving year, and now it's showing a fairly quick recovery.
Ethereum's blistering 50% rally to $3,800 in just 2 months has turned heads, and not just among altcoin fans. With Bitcoin dominance slipping to 61.6%, the broader crypto market appears to be shifting into altcoin season territory. Increased Ethereum staking, surging interest from institutions, and breakout performance from networks like Solana and Polygon all paint a picture of renewed optimism beyond Bitcoin. Key technical indicators like the RSI suggest Ethereum is heating up, while on-chain metrics confirm capital is rotating towards smart contract platforms. This latest move fits closely with the framework Ben Cowen outlined in his ongoing butterfly effect analysis. According to him, Ethereum's ability to go home, to find a cyclical bottom, sets the stage for a breakout to new all-time highs before a likely return to its regression band in the 2026 bear market. That narrative aligns well with what we're seeing. Ethereum has regained strong bullish momentum, but historical patterns hint at volatility and curveballs ahead. The current rally could be the impulse leg Cowen described, pushing price to challenge resistance between $3,254 and $4,014. While it's tempting to chase green candles, Cowen's long-term view urges caution. Yes, Ethereum may set a new high soon, but it's equally possible that a shakeout lies ahead. For seasoned investors, the key is understanding where we are in the broader cycle. For newer participants, these moments offer a reminder. Crypto isn't just about upside, it's about patience, timing, and navigating the waves with strategy, not emotion. As we wrap up, do you think Ethereum will break its all-time high before the year ends? Why or why not? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video and hit the like button. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.